Hola amigos, ¿cómo están? Espero que se encuentren bien en donde sea que estén estudiando español. Bienvenidos a nuestra clase y recuerden que aquí se habla español.
Muy bien, bienvenidos. Today we're going to review material from our last lesson, plus we will talk about articles and talk about nouns.
Very good. But first, we need to recall the material from last class. And the first thing is the word I. And I is used to express both there is and there are in Spanish. And when you say no hay, it means there is not and there are not. Any question that begins with I expresses is there or are there. Okay, so one little short test. ¿Cuántas personas hay aquí? ¿Cuántas personas hay aquí?
Aquí hay dos personas.
Hay dos personas, muy bien. So, Kathy, ¿cuántos libros hay aquí? ¿Cuántos libros hay aquí?
No hay libros.
No hay libros, muy bien. There aren't any. No hay libros. Very good. All right, the next thing is to review the vocabulary. So now we're going to show you pictures on the screen, and they're pictures that we learned in the last class. So make sure you tell us the word that you're seeing on the screen. Okay, so let's get started with the first one. And so that will be?
It had two names, una pluma o un bolígrafo.
Muy bien, una pluma o un bolígrafo. Excelente. One is feminine, one is masculine.
We'll practice that
Yes,
today.
exactly.
Good.
¿Qué es esto?
Un lápiz.
Un lápiz, muy bien. Un lápiz. ¿Y qué es esto?
Un libro.
Un libro, muy bien. ¿Qué es esto?
Un cuaderno.
Un cuaderno, muy bien. ¿Qué es esto?
Un papel.
Un papel, ok. ¿Qué es esto?
No es un libro.
No, no es un libro.
Un diccionario.
Un diccionario, muy bien, ok. ¿Y qué es esto?
Un borrador.
Un borrador, fantástico. Muy bien. ¿Qué es esto?
Una mochila.
Una mochila, muy bien. Y esto, lo que está en el centro, what's in the center?
En el centro, una mesa.
Una mesa, muy bien. Fantástico. ¿Y qué es esto?
Una silla.
Una silla, muy bien. ¿Y esto?
I think we could say una escuela.
Una escuela, muy bien. ¿Qué es esto?
Una fotografía.
Una fotografía, muy bien. ¿Qué es esto?
Es un video.
¿Un video? ¿O cómo se dice en Sudamérica?
Video.
Un video, muy bien, excelente. ¿Qué es esto?
Es una puerta.
Una puerta, muy bien. Y
un reloj.
Un reloj, muy bien. What else could we use a reloj for? You
Reloj is clock or watch.
A watch, muy bien. ¿Qué es esto?
Es una ventana.
Una ventana, muy bien. ¿Y esto?
Es una pizarra.
Una pizarra. Y hay otra palabra. There's another word.
In Mexico, I think they call it pizarrón.
Pizarrón, muy bien. Una pizarra o un pizarrón, muy bien. Okay. ¿Qué es esto?
Un examen.
Un examen, ok, muy bien. ¿Y esto? Es lo que está haciendo, it's what she's doing.
What is she doing? I think una tarea.
Tarea, muy bien.
In English, tarea is homework.
Homework. Muy bien. ¿Y esto? No es un examen.
No es un examen. We practice examen already. So this one is una prueba.
Una prueba, muy bien. Fantástico. All right. ¿Y esto qué es?
Una clase o un curso.
Un curso, muy bien. ¿Y este?
Una calculadora.
Una calculadora, muy bien. Y es un cognado.
Cognado. Yeah, it's very similar to English, the English word.
Exactly. ¿Qué es esto? Another cognate, otro cognado.
Un teléfono.
Un teléfono, muy bien, un teléfono. All right. ¿Y qué es esto? Es la última, the last one.
Una televisión.
Una televisión, muy bien, fantástico. Is there another word for televisión? that we could use?
I think we can also call it un televisor.
Un televisor. Muy bien. Excelente. All right, good.
Muy bien. So now that we've reviewed the vocabulary, the second topic we're going to review is how to tell the time. When we ask the question, we say, ¿Qué hora es?
¿Qué hora es?
Or the question is also asked, ¿Qué horas son?
Muy bien.
Carlos, to answer the question, what's the expression we use?
We can say son las or es la.
And when do we say es la?
Es la, you use it when it's 1 o'clock only, okay? And the rest of the hours, you would say son las.
Son las. Okay, so let's practice a little bit.
Okay?
Okay, Carlos, looking at the screen, ¿Qué hora es?
Okay. Son las 12
Muy bien,
menos 10.
muy bien.
Son las 12 menos 10.
Son las 12 menos 10, correcto.
Okay, muy bien.
Okay, Carlos, ¿qué horas son?
Son las 9:15 y es AM, entonces de la mañana.
De la mañana. Son las 9:15 de la mañana.
O 9:15.
Correcto. Carlos, ¿qué horas son?
Son las 4:27. ¿Es de la noche?
Let's see. When we use de la noche, it's dark outside.
Okay.
And I don't think it would be dark yet.
All right, so de la tarde. Son las 4:27 de la tarde.
Perfecto. Son las 4:27 de la tarde.
Okay. Muy bien.
Carlos, ¿qué hora es?
Es más difícil, okay? So we go up to the next hour. Son las 8 menos cuarto
Sí,
o menos 15 de la noche.
de la noche.
Okay?
Muy bien.
Son las 8 menos cuarto de la noche. All right, y uno más.
¿Qué hora es? This one's different.
Okay. Do I have to say sharp?
You could say it. What if
Okay.
it were 1 o'clock on the dot?
On
1
the
o'clock
dots.
sharp.
Okay. So es la una en punto.
En punto. Muy bien.
Es la una en punto.
Sí.
Y la última.
¿Es la o son las?
Son, porque es plural, son las 5:10.
Perfecto. Son las 5:10.
Las 5:10.
Muy bien.
All right, muy bien. So now that's the end of our review, and we will begin our first lesson of the day, which is articles. There are two types of articles, definite and indefinite. The definite article must agree in number and gender with the noun. The definite articles include el, la, los, and las. The definite article in English is the.
So the expression the in English has 4 translations in Spanish.
Exactly.
Muy
So
bien.
let's take a look at these. So we have el libro, which is...
El libro.
Libro is a masculine word, and it's singular, so we use the article el, okay, for that.
Muy bien.
Okay? And if you pluralize el libro, you have several books. The books would be los libros.
Los
libros.
libros.
Okay?
Bien.
All right, now if we have something, a feminine object, we would use the article la, the definite article la. So la pluma, the
La
pen.
pluma.
Okay? Now, if we had several pens, the pens, we would say las plumas. Okay? Las plumas.
Muy
That's
bien.
how we would
So-
change the article.
Carlos, then when we make the word plural, the noun becomes plural, the article next to it also becomes plural.
Correct. Yes.
Muy bien.
Very good. Now, indefinite articles include un, una, unos, and unas. And like the definite article, it must agree in number and gender with the noun. The indefinite article in English is a, an, or some. Okay, so now let's take a look at the indefinite articles and how they would work with words. So we have, instead of saying the book, now we want to say a book, so we would say un libro.
Un libro.
Okay?
So when I said the book, it was el libro.
El libro.
And now, to be indefinite, I say un libro.
Un libro. Okay?
Muy bien.
If we pluralize it, then we say unos libros. Some books. Unos libros.
Unos libros. So the article becomes plural and the noun becomes plural also.
Correct. And now the feminine forms. Una pluma,
Una pluma.
a pen.
Okay.
And finally, the plural form, we have unas plumas.
Unas plumas. Some pens.
Correcto.
Muy
Okay.
bien.
And towards the end of our lesson today, we're going to have a section where you will practice these, okay? So just remember that. All right. So Kathleen, it's now your turn.
Okay. Well, remember that all nouns in Spanish have either masculine or feminine gender. So it doesn't mean that things are considered to be masculine or things considered to be feminine. It's just a grammatical feature. There are nouns that refer to male people, and those usually end with O, and they'll be masculine in gender. And then we'll have nouns that end with A, which tend to refer to people. So let's see some examples.
Okay, so with masculine nouns, if it ends in O, again, generally it should be masculine. So in this case, we have el sombrero.
El sombrero, a hat.
Sí.
So it doesn't mean that the hat belongs to a man or a woman. It's
No.
just the noun itself is masculine.
Correct.
El sombrero. Bien.
All right. And then we have another example, el libro.
El libro. This one is also masculine.
Correct.
And I know it's masculine because the article is el and the ending is o.
And you just reminded me of something. So remember that when you're learning vocabulary, it's a great idea to memorize the article along with the word, the vocabulary word. So it's easier for you to understand or to remember that it's either masculine or feminine. So remember the article as you learn new vocab.
Okay.
Let's take a look at another one. So we have el perro.
El perro. So it's also masculine. El is masculine, and the O usually is referring to something masculine.
Generally, yes.
So when I memorize the word, I shouldn't just remember perro. I'll remember it next to the word el perro.
Exactamente.
Muy bien,
Very
buena
good.
idea.
Our next word is el carro.
El carro. El carro is a car.
A car.
Muy bien.
Okay. Also ends in O, so in this case it's masculine also. And the last one is enfermero.
El enfermero. Is that a nurse?
That's a male nurse, correct? El enfermero.
And I know that it's a man because when these words refer to people, the article el and the ending usually refer to that person's gender.
Correct.
Muy bien.
Okay, very good.
Feminine nouns. So if the masculine nouns usually end with O, feminine nouns will usually end with
A.
With an A. Okay.
Also, not only the ones that end in A, but a few others, and we'll see those in a second. So with A, we have, for example, la mamá.
La
Okay,
mamá.
la
So
mamá.
the ending is an A, usually associated with women or something feminine, and the article is also feminine, la. La mamá.
Okay, muy bien. But not only words that end in A could be feminine, also words that end in dad.
The D-A-D.
D-A-D, correct. So as in ciudad, la ciudad.
So any word that I see that ends with dad is going to be a feminine word.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Another word would be, for example, felicidad, which is
felicidad.
happiness, la felicidad, which is feminine also.
Muy bien.
Okay. Another case would be the words that end in tad, like la amistad.
La amistad. So words that end with T-A-D are also feminine.
Correct.
¿Qué es la amistad?
Friendship, la amistad.
Friendship. La amistad.
Muy bien. Libertad would be another one. Libertad, which is
Libertad,
a cognate.
liberty.
Liberty. So la libertad.
Muy bien.
Words that end in also C-I-O-N.
Sion.
En sion, como la educación.
Educación. In English, these words usually have a sh sound at the end. Education.
Education.
But in Spanish, they're pronounced differently.
Sí.
Educación.
Educación.
Muy bien.
Another example would be la canción,
La
which is
canción.
a song. Okay, la canción, and it's also feminine.
Okay.
And along with the C-I-O-N words, the S-I-O-N words, like la televisión.
Muy bien. So these endings are the ones that we know are feminine. They end with dad, sion. Muy bien.
Correcto. Muy bien. Now with some nouns, the gender must be memorized, and these usually have other endings and do not refer to male or female beings, and we'll give you some examples of those. For example, the word lápiz it ends in a consonant, in a Z, so it's really difficult to tell what the gender is. It doesn't end in no, it doesn't end in a, so we must memorize the gender of this word.
So
And in
that's
this
why it's
case,
important to know.
Exactly. That's why when you're
Memorization.
learning vocabulary, you need to learn also the article. And so in this case, lápiz happens to be masculine. So it's el lápiz. Again, you have to memorize that.
Okay.
All right, so lápiz is one example. Tarde, it ends in an E. So again, we don't know
We
whether
don't
it's
know.
masculine or feminine based on the ending. In this case, it's what?
La.
La tarde.
La tarde.
So it's feminine. So la tarde. ¿Qué significa tarde?
La tarde, the afternoon.
The afternoon.
We learned that when we practiced time, didn't
Ajá,
we?
muy bien. Por ejemplo, las 5 de la tarde. Okay. Noche, again, ends in an E. So we don't know what the gender is based on the ending. And it happens to be also
Feminine.
feminine. Very good. So la noche. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Very good. And we have other words, nouns, that follow this pattern. So, for example, día. Día, by looking at it, you would think automatically these are exceptions.
This one ends with A, but it's not feminine.
Nope, it's
so the
not.
rule doesn't work all the time.
It doesn't work all the time. This is, you're going to find in Spanish, while studying Spanish, there are exceptions to a lot of rules.
Okay.
And so día, even though it ends in a, happens to be a masculine word. So it's
So it's incorrect. If I said la día, that would be wrong.
correct. It's
Okay.
wrong. So we will have to say el día.
El día.
Okay?
Bien.
And let's take a look at another one. Mapa ends in an a. And
another
so
one.
another one. And you would think automatically that it's feminine, but it's el mapa.
El mapa.
El mapa.
Okay.
Muy bien. Ahora, another one. Problema.
Problema also ends with A, but it's masculine.
Correct. El problema. And words that end in ma generally are going to be masculine. Okay.
So el problema, is there another one like
el
that?
sistema, the system. El sistema.
Okay.
Okay. Here's another one. Programa.
El programa, also masculine.
Also masculine. So
Okay.
el programa. Okay. And the next one is, and the final one for this section, mano. It ends in an O. So automatically we would assume that it's
We'd think it would be masculine.
okay, but it's an exception again. So it's
Okay.
la mano.
La
okay,
mano.
Feminine.
So I
la
have to
mano.
memorize it. Okay.
Correct.
La mano. Esta es la mano.
Sí, la mano.
La mano.
Okay, all right. Many nouns, especially those that refer to people, indicate gender by changing the last vowel or adding a to the last consonant of the masculine form to make it feminine. And let's take a look at some of these. We have, for example, the word profesor, okay, which is el profesor.
El profesor. But if I wanted to describe a woman, I need to change the word.
Yes, all you need to do is add an a,
Add an A. So profesora.
profesora, and change the article from el to
La.
la. So el profesor,
and la
la
profesora.
profesora. Muy bien. Let's do another one. Doctor, el doctor.
El doctor, la doctora.
Sí,
¿Sí?
sí.
Muy bien.
Bueno.
Yo no soy doctora.
All right, doctor, doctora. Notice we
bien.
change the article and we add in an a to make it feminine.
Okay.
Let's try one more. El abogado.
El abogado.
Y
This one already ends with O. So what's the feminine form?
we switch the O to an A.
So now we change that last vowel.
Correct. So
Okay.
it goes from el abogado to la abogada.
La abogada. Muy bien. What is it? La abogada.
Lawyer.
A lawyer.
Okay. In some cases, even some women would say soy abogado. Okay. But it depends.
Okay.
Very good. And now one more. El hermano y la hermana.
El hermano, la hermana.
And we will learn this one when we learn the family vocabulary.
okay.
Hermano means
A brother.
brother,
Hermana, a sister.
sister. So el hermano y la hermana.
Muy bien.
Okay.
Sí.
All right. And finally, to pluralize nouns, you add an S to nouns that end in a vowel and an ES to nouns that end in a consonant. Nouns that end in Z, change the Z to a C before adding ES.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take a look at some examples, okay? And we will look at, for example, the first one is libro, okay? That's a singular word.
Okay.
And the plural form would be
Libros.
libros. All you do is add an S.
Add the S because it ends in a vowel, ends in an O. I just add S to make it plural.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. And the next one is papel. It ends in a consonant. L. Okay. So we need to add
ES.
ES.
Papeles.
So papel, singular. Plural form is papeles.
Muy bien.
All right. And let's try one more. And this is the one where the Z changes to a C. So lápiz, singular. And the plural form,
Lápices.
lápices. It changes to C-E-E. C-E-S.
S.
Sorry
Muy bien.
about that. All right. So now that we went over these rules, we're going to practice a little bit.
Okay, let's practice.
So we're going to practice first with definite articles, okay? So at home, make sure you look at the word and then decide whether it's masculine or feminine. Decide whether you would assign a definite article, which kind, which would be either el or la, okay? So let's take a look at the first one, okay? So reloj.
So reloj, and we want to use the definite article. You're asking us to use el or la or los
or
las. Okay. So reloj, if I remember the vocabulary, I think is masculine. So it should be el reloj.
Correcto, muy bien. El reloj. And remember, these are definite articles, not indefinite, okay? One more. Señora.
Señora. And these are helpful because when it refers to a person, I can pretty much decide the gender of words.
Correcto.
Señora, la señora.
La señora. And again, another indication is the ending. It ends in an a, okay? Unless it's an exception, but in this case it's not. So señora would be la señora.
La señora.
Muy bien, Kathy.
Okay.
All right. Let's try this one. Libro.
Ends in an O, and I would say el libro.
El libro. Muy bien, correcto. Okay. Make sure at home you need to say it before Kathleen does. All right, so el libro. Lección.
This was one of those that ends in ción. What was the rule about the words that end with ción?
Well, they happen to be feminine.
So it's la lección.
La lección, muy bien, la lección. All right, let's try another one.
Universidad ends with dad, and I think that also has to be feminine. The words that end with dad.
Exactamente.
La universidad.
La universidad, muy bien, femenina. All right, a few more.
Mesas.
Now it's plural.
Oh, vocabulary. Mesa was a table. Mesas, so plural would be las mesas.
Excelente, muy bien. Y la última,
Okay.
the last one. Hombres.
Hombres. Hombres are men.
Men, okay.
And it's plural.
So that's a key there.
Okay, so if I know it's referring to people and they're masculine, then I should use los. Los hombres.
Muy bien, los hombres. Very good. Well done. Now, can you test me on indefinite articles, Kathleen?
Yeah, I'll test you. So the indefinite, do you remember the four they are, the indefinite articles?
I think so. It's un, and the plural form of un is unos. Una for feminine, singular, and unas for feminine, plural.
Muy bien, Carlos. Muy bien.
I was sweating there.
Okay.
All right. So the first one.
Lámparas. What do you think?
Lámparas. It ends in an a, and the s makes it plural.
Correcto.
So I will say unas lámparas.
Correcto. Unas
Okay,
lámparas.
muy bien. Unas lámparas. All right.
Profesora. What do you think?
Profesora. All right. I think it's feminine because of the a, so I will say una profesora.
Correcto. Una profesora.
Okay, muy bien. Very good. The next one.
The next one is borradores.
All right. So this one ends in or, and this is a vocabulary word.
Yeah.
O-R-E-S. And I remember that it was male.
Correcto.
Okay, and now it's plural. So I'll have to say unos borradores.
Muy bien. Unos borradores.
Okay, muy bien. And
What
that
is
was eraser, right?
And now it's a group of them, so it's some.
Plural, some erasers.
Some erasers.
Okay,
Yeah.
muy bien. Silla.
Okay. Silla, Carlos. What do you think?
Well, this is easier. It ends in a, so I will say una silla.
Correcto. Una silla.
Okay, muy bien.
Bien. Okay, next one. Estudiante.
What's the F, Kathy? What does it stand
Well,
for?
estudiante, it could be a male student or a female student, so I gave you a little hint.
Okay, and this is another key. There are a lot of words that change the gender just by changing the article, right? For example,
Correcto.
estudiante, if it's a feminine student, then I would just say una estudiante. And if it were a male student, we would say,
The word estudiante won't change, we'll just change the article in the front.
okay,
So un estudiante would be a male, and una estudiante would be a female.
okay. Are there other words that function like that?
Yeah, there are. There's
Like
quite a few.
presidente?
Presidente.
So would it be un presidente? And if it's a
Una.
feminine, una presidente.
Correcto.
Okay.
Muy
Or
bien.
el presidente and
La.
la presidente. Excellent.
Sí.
All right.
Okay. Cuaderno.
Cuaderno was notebook, right?
A notebook.
Okay, so this one is easy. It ends in O.
Okay.
So I'll say un cuaderno.
Un cuaderno. Good
Okay.
guess. Correcto.
Oh, I'm not guessing. I know these.
You know, you know.
Thanks for giving me so much credit, Kathy.
Okay, let's see. This is a hard one. Let's see if you can do it, Carlos.
Oh, this was
Lápices.
the one that changed from a Z to a CES.
But do you remember the gender? Should we use un or una, unos or unas?
It's plural, I know that.
Correcto.
And
Feminine or
I
masculine?
think it's masculine. So, unos lápices?
Correcto. Muy inteligente, Carlos. Muy
Gracias,
bien.
gracias. Solamente hoy. All right, okay, very good. So now let's practice nouns, okay? And now we're going to give you the word in English.
It's going to be more
And
difficult.
yes, you're going to have to give us the equivalent in Spanish. So, Kathy,
Okay.
now I'm testing you.
Okay, I can do it.
All right, I hope you can. The books, how would you say that?
Okay, so this word, the, is a definite article.
Very good.
So I'm going to choose los libros.
Los libros. Muy bien, excelente.
Gracias.
Okay, all right, so at home, make sure you say them too. The next one, so that's the answer, los libros. And our next one will be an eraser.
This is the indefinite article. I don't want to use el and la. I want to use the other kind of article.
Correct.
Un borrador.
Un borrador, muy bien, okay? What if we were plural, Kathy, and I said some erasers?
Then it would change to unos borradores.
Borradores, muy bien, excelente, muy inteligente tú también.
Gracias, muchas gracias.
All right, y el siguiente, or la siguiente palabra, some chairs, okay, some chairs.
So that's still one of those indefinite articles.
Correcto.
And chairs is sillas.
Sillas.
The ending reminds me of feminine endings, so I'm going to say unas sillas.
Unas sillas, muy bien. Unas sillas, excelente. A professor.
Is the F there to tell me something?
Yes, it's a feminine word, or a feminine professor.
So it's a woman.
Una mujer.
So I would say una profesora.
Muy bien, una profesora. What about me?
Un profesor.
Un profesor. Muy bien. All right, we have a few more. So now we have the clocks. The clocks.
The clocks, los relojes.
Muy bien, los relojes. What would be the clock? The clock.
Singular would be el reloj.
El reloj. Okay, very good. And we have two more. The paper.
El papel.
El papel. Muy bien, excelente. And a pencil, which is the last one.
Un lápiz.
Un lápiz. Muy bien. Kathleen, eres excelente estudiante.
Gracias.
I
Tú
wish
también,
all my
Carlos.
students were like you.
Muy bien.
All right, very good. So that's all the time we have for today. Remember, all of the material that we reviewed and all the new material that we learned, we will review the new material in our next installment, okay? So have a great one y nos vemos la próxima. Adiós.